Welcome, my name is Michael Wickerson and I am compiling a very basic to intermediate and possibly advanced Grasshopper script series. And I'm doing this in the middle of working statically in Rhino and teaching Rhino and also pushing people to work computationally in Python or C#. And I do this for an international group, MGSM. I do it for the Kansas City Art Institute in Kansas City, and I'm definitely doing it as a small development group called the Dominion. You're going to see how exciting that is and how that's actually growing. What I have here is a series of master scripts that are available, and I'll show you exactly where to get them. They're pretty big. There's about 4 master scripts that have 50 subchapters, 51 subchapters with multiple scripts in them each. And it's to get you working in Grasshopper, knowing all the params, the maths, the sets, the vectors, the curves, surfaces, meshes, intersections, transformations, and display tools. I then go on to plugins and show how that's being used as well. So the 4 master scripts are available, and they are pretty big. I wouldn't try loading them up or enabling all the scripts at once. You could choose sections, but they're mainly those 4 scripts, and I believe they're under the title MGSM Exercises Section 1, 2, which has 2 parts, and 3, and then 4 for plugins. And I've got a few of them here, so if we jump down and saw the last one, Plugins Ladybug, that's one that will be the final one, which will be the 51st script. And we'll go into details about how to use everything from Ladybird, Honeybee, Dragonfly, and Butterfly. But the breakdown, if you took a look and jumped into plugins number 1, param geometry, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone into the master script and I've grabbed 1 through 52 and get you up and running with the params. The next one available, if I go in here and hit open, I can go into MGSM support files, and I've got 1 all the way through 50 that covers all the param ribbon tools with samples that are all scripted for you and ready for you to grab, all the way through maths, sets, vectors, and it gets more and more complex as we go, and we end up with a variety of very interesting plugins from metaball to subdivisions. I'm just curious why my face isn't moving over here, but I guess it's just frozen up. If I was to show you, didn't mean to open anything, if I was to show you online what's going on, it's basically the GitHub account. It's under, I've got Rhino Basics repositories all over the place. If you jump into here, and I'm working with a fellow, Daniel Kristev, who goes by the name Bulgos, on the Dominion. And that's not a public site as of yet, but most of my repositories, and this one will be made public. I'll make it public the later part of today. And you can find ways of supporting us if you want to encourage us. We're looking into this open source kind of a theme of each one teach one, but we do have a couple of Patreons, one for a particular interest in what I'm doing, and then the Dominion has its own Patreon as well. The repositories that I maintain, some are private, some are public. They're tied to, obviously, computational work. It's all in here and right back into Rhino, the ABCs of Rhino. And those can be accessible, and once you jump in there, you see what's going on. The scripts are all here, and they'll be under the title. I don't really categorize them smaller. They're just listed very well through the exercises. And you bring those into your Grasshopper by opening them after you download, and you can actually play around and learn Grasshopper very quickly without getting bogged down in all the logistics. What I offer is online tutorials that pair exactly with that. So if I was to go into Master Scripts Parametric Computation and do a playlist, you'll see that I'm slowly making videos that are support videos, 10 to 15 minutes going through each of those. And I'm only up to 6 on the video, but I'm preparing to make more for the next week. And it'll be live as I record them as I teach, and then I'll have these recordings for the students and for anybody interested. The other thing I have is this file. This is a breakdown. Actually, that's just a playlist that breaks those all down. The other thing I have in here is a playlist called the Dominion, which is a totally different thing. And this is where it goes after you learn Rhino and after you learn Grasshopper. I'm definitely interested in getting in here and learning what we're doing with each one teach one. Daniel Kristev and Peter Davis and my wife Beth. We've got a download of a wonderful plugin. In here, you'll see that there's some choices to take a look at the blog, which will have the Open GitHorse site for the plugin Conic Solver. There's a video in there where we'll update our videos, and we've got some very nice renders that happen. But you can go to Food for Rhino and literally jump in and download, and you'll be one of the 175 that's actually installed and downloaded this already. and it shows instructions for getting that up and running and making your own conics. The other thing I had on here, if I do-si-do back, the Patreon file if you're interested to support that. Daniel, if you go into it and take a look at the Dominion, take a look at the GitHub, I'd have to jump into here and go into the Vocos. You'll see this will become public this week, where all this, the source codes and the examples, which I've started to put in here, the master scripts, are available for learning about the conic. So there's lots of things going on, multiple things, but the main goal that I'm talking with my partners is to build ourselves a very basic Rhino introduction to get people working statically that pairs completely with these files to take you through all the vanilla tools as to what you might want to pull up and work within Grasshopper. And that's pretty much the gist of it. I'll keep this video fairly short. From the first one all the way through to the last one, the plugins. I think it might be interesting to grab in here and see one of the last ones as I jump. I'll grab an open file, go back into my MGSM and the support files. We'll jump down to one of the plugins, say Octree or Subdivisions. You can quickly load that up and you get all of those wonderful nodes up and running. I do give a little warning in red. I'll have some teaching methods that'll get things up and running, and I do give credit to who intellectual property that I'm taking derivatives to and changing. Daniel Christo's one of them, obviously, in here, and there's a few other online that do some real magic with this. And so even though it's a subtitle of 051, it's not a single script using subdivisions. It actually has 4 very nice ones in here that are compiled for you, and you get, well, ready for you to make enabled, and then take a look at the geometry and the Rhino viewport. So I hope you find that interesting. If you do want to support it, it will be over on my Patreon. All this is available. Watch on my YouTube what's happening as I update the videos as I go through it, be it I'm updating for the Dominion conics, but I'm also updating my own process of saying what exactly is happening in these strips. Right now I have an overview that said I was going to start this on the 8th of August, which I did, and then there's a few examples here that break down those individual sections. So I'll keep going at this point with the 007 script and take it up to 51. So I hope that makes sense. Thanks very much for your support and interest. The conic plugins are a little more exciting to where that'll go, and even though I lack the Visual Studio and the C# skills to really produce these scripts as accurately and perfectly as Daniel Christ have, we actually have some people working in renders and Unreal Engine that can really help, and we're going into a little bit with AR, hopefully for an output. And then I will probably come at it from the logical side, the mathematical side first, dealing with Rhino, and then into Grasshopper. So we've all found our own roles, and if you really want to take part, download this, get going. We'll spot you just like we found Peter Davis in Germany, and he generated this wonderful shoe rendering from the conic solvers for working in hyperbolas, parabolas, ellipses, and circles, and he found a way to put, obviously create his own node that would pull all of those curves over to a mesh. And we thank him for that, and we'll just keep spotting people. Once again, there's another section in here of videos. It's kind of, it's going to make a little noise here, but basically it's me giving a general introduction of what the conics are and what's actually happening there. But we hope to have some very tight introductory works in the works here. And as we move through Rhino and Grasshopper, we can do some real computational work together, collaboratively with others under the theme, each one teach one. Thanks very much for watching.